You can't after it's live.
Just go live and then I'll get the clip. Oh. Bum, 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 bum.
Well, folks, if you're joining us, we're just waiting a few minutes before we actually give it a full rundown. But if you are joining us, welcome. If you're watching this later, welcome. This is Tyler's Corner, where Tyler talks about the Miami Hurricanes, and I ask him a bunch of questions.
And Andrew just sits there while
I fix my mic every 10 minutes.
Andrew sits there while I rant for 45 minutes every week. Oh, brother. You ready to jump into it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started.
Let me just... Well, contrary to our last podcast on Monday, it was like Jarren Williams was going to be the starter. Wrap your head around it. And so I did. I went home. I watched Nkosi play the Virginia game. And I got to admit, I didn't like the game that I saw. I know it's very contradictory to probably what I said. I don't even remember what I said on Monday at this point.
I don't either.
But it was, I didn't like what he did. He left a lot of passes wide open. Not even like the deep shots he was missing, but he was just all over the place in terms of what he wanted to do with the football. It looked like a little bit of Nkosi last season in the sense that at times it didn't feel like he knew what he wanted to do with the football when his first read wasn't there.
That's fair.
I would like to say I think we may score more points with Jarren in that game. Hindsight is always 20/20 because we only score 17, and it's like, well, Kosi scored the game-winning touchdown, but it's like, if we played Jarren, are we down by that much? Because it's just like, as much as I hate really believing into what the coaches are saying at this point, it's like we were like 5 plays from really busting that game wide open and Virginia Teching them what Virginia Tech did to us, making them 28-0 by halfway through the second quarter. And we were really close. And to overthrow guys like Jeff Thomas and KJ Osborne is really hard. But
I don't know. I think Kosi won us the game.
Well, yeah, because
if Jarren was in, we don't win.
Well, that's a hot take. Okay, that's
me.
definitely not what I think at all.
The run touchdown from Kosi sealed the deal.
But it's like, does that happen though with Jarren? Are
No.
we in that predicament? I know that play doesn't happen with Jarren, but are we in that predicament? Because Miami
you don't think
fans
it comes to that?
What?
Like, you don't even think if Jarren was in, we wouldn't even come to that situation?
No, because Miami fans are so extreme in the sense that it's, what have you done for us lately? It's, what did you do last game to help us? It's just like what's happening with Cam Davis. It's Cam Davis was coming into this season hot, and he has almost done relatively nothing throughout the season, and it's just like they're pushing him back. Fans are writing him off, and it's, DJD, let's go, throughout the whole season, which obviously you should be. But it's even to the sense where before the Virginia Tech game, Jarren had no interceptions. The 3 interceptions he threw, one of them was really, really bad. The first one wasn't really his fault. The second one was more of a mechanics error in the sense of the rush, and then it was anything. So, I don't know. It's just because I was on this sort of train, I would say, where it's like I'm leaning towards Kosi. And I would say if we would run an air raid style of offense, I would run with Kosi all day. But we're not going to. Because,
you still would after watching what he did at Virginia?
Because it's not that possible. Like, what everybody's saying is not possible to go simply just air raid throughout the season. The rest of the season. Because, A, this offense was probably developed back in March and has been ingrained in them throughout spring and over the summer.
Right.
So, therefore, these plays have been set in stone, and they wanted this line to show them their potential. And this line has not been anything close. We're dead last in nearly every category in terms of offensive line production. And then you combine that with the fact that you combine the bad line with the offense that we're running, while the play calls suck, and I'm not going to talk about that as much. But it's still, we're still at the same spot where You can't change up an offense. Like, you can't just say, okay, everybody, forget what you know. We're going to learn a playbook in a week. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but isn't that technically what Georgia Tech did?
But you see what happened in Georgia Tech right now. Look
Yeah,
what
but
Georgia
I mean,
Tech's doing
like,
right now.
that's technically what they did, right? Because last year they were all triple option,
Well, yeah,
but now what did they switch to?
spread,
And
shotgun.
and they even said that
Like where Virginia
they used to
runs.
recruit for their scheme, but now they're having to change everything,
Yeah.
and they're recruiting the players now, and it's like they're what 1-5?
But that was a long process. He retired. Paul Johnson retired right after the season.
yeah,
like,
yeah,
A lot like
yeah.
Mark Richt did.
Yeah.
And then they've had this kind of period to transition and still look at what's happened. But it's also, that is an extreme case of the opposite end of the spectrum. But Miami is very much in a top end of the spectrum where it's like, scheme's kind of working. Scheme could work a lot if we simply just threw it every play. But it's also, you got to realize Virginia Tech's defense was not good at all in
Right.
that second half and the second half of the second quarter, because it was like after that it was just, bro, we were just driving on 'em every play, just bomb after bomb.
Yeah,
And I don't think that's possible to do that every time,
no,
especially with Enos' play calling as spotty as it's been. So what I would just like to say, I guess, is this is just not a reality where we're going to run the ideal offense for N'Kosi Perry. Because as a quarterback coach and as an offensive coordinator, which Enos is, throughout this camp, you have no idea which quarterback you were going to pick until 2 weeks before Florida.
that's true.
So
That's true.
You make an offense that
Well,
is...
Tate was also still there as well. He was still on the blog. Yeah, so they had 3.
you make an offense that could be okay for every single quarterback, and then you add in the wrinkles that benefit that one.
Okay, so they
And
did
so-
it's a cookie cutter. It's one size fits all.
Well, that's usually what you do when you have a quarterback
Yeah.
competition, is what do you want to do on offense, and then you say, okay,
Who fits
which
it
one
best?
fits this offense
Okay.
best? And so I would say, if you go with Tate, you would want to run a more option style, like regular spread, like Virginia does, but Tate doesn't have the arm. He would try to go vertical, and then Kosi doesn't do it that well. And then you cut back and like, well, let's just go pro style. Jaren does that really, really well. And then we trickle in some vertical plays. You know, Kosi could still run the short game a little bit. It's not as good as Jaren.
Right.
Tate can't do it at all, so Tate moves positions.
Yeah.
So I think that's ultimately what happens. And it was very reactionary. I get, even for me as a fan, was like, we need to switch. We need to switch. And it's like, that's not a feasible possibility.
So
Do you understand what I'm saying, though?
yeah, but I'm trying to wrap my head like, so in your opinion, you think that Jaren at the end of the day is the better quarterback for the type of scheme they're running?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's the better quarterback in general. And so they figured that out, and then it's okay.
But do you
let's
think
develop. So they have, what I would say is they have a line in the sand, like, which quarterback can do sort of what we want to do. And they say, okay, Jaren is in that line, Kosi's kind of there, Tate's way out.
Yeah.
So cut that, whatever offense wrinkles you would want to throw in specifically for Tate,
Right.
take that offense out.
Yeah.
So then you got Jaren and Kosi, and then it's like, well, Kosi can't do his wrinkles that well, even. His calling card is arm strength, and it's like,
Yeah.
he showed at the Virginia game he can't do that all that well. While he could throw it a mile, it doesn't matter. And so they're like, okay, we cut that down, and Jaren can do exactly what we want to do. Are there special wrinkles for Jaren? Probably not, but at the end of the day, he does exactly what we want to do on
Yeah.
offense that suits our players, is what they would think.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're wrong remains to be seen. I'm just
That's
giving
true.
you the facts of life as
Right.
determined as what is going on at Miami.
So
I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's where it's at.
So my question is Jaren looks better on paper? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
But does Jaren guarantee us the win? That's the thing that I heard Manny Diaz say
Well, see,
in the press
that's
conference.
a whole different conversation
Well,
than
right.
the one we're having currently. But that is a question that
But
you
that's
would
ultimately
need
what
answering.
I'm thinking
Yeah,
of
definitely needs answering.
is when you hear Manny Diaz talk on the press conferences, is he continually says, at the beginning he said that Jaren is guaranteed to get us the win. That's what we feel like. With the scheme that we're running, with the play styles, with who Jaren is, and now it's switched to, we definitely feel like Kosi can give us the win.
Well, I don't think it
And
means
is that just
exactly,
because Jaren's injured?
Yeah, I don't think it means what you think it means. I think you're like taking it and like kind of running it.
No, I'm
you're
just
stretching it out.
questioning it.
Oh,
Like,
you're just, okay.
is it that Jaren could be a better quarterback as far as passing, as far as stats, as far as vision, as far as
What they should. So what I would assume is they say, okay, here's our VodTech game. Kosi showed us what his calling card was. His specialty was deep passes. He showed us that his arm strength was really on display.
Yep.
And they say, okay, Virginia, we'll try to throw some of that in. And then Virginia, he just wasn't hitting it. And
it wasn't the same.
And it's like he could win us the game running the offense that Jaren runs is
Right.
what I interpret that as.
Okay.
Which is the offense that we're going to have to run because we've been running this offense since August 3rd or 5th, whatever
Right.
you want to say. And it's, okay, where does Kosi fit in this little squiggly line of plays that Jaren has?
Right.
And then how can we throw in something that Kosi is good at remains to be seen. Because that happened in the Virginia game, but it just didn't hit.
Right.
Like, if it hits, then it's like, I think it blows the QB competition wide open. Because it's like, well, that's not what we thought. Because no way did Manny or Enos come into this game or into this week on Monday and say, Kosi, you played great.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
me and you did. Me and you both said he played
yeah,
great.
Yeah. But
After
you don't hear that at
rewatching
all. It's like,
Yeah.
and which you have that here. It's like you imagine going into the locker room.
Yeah.
Manny talks about the team, what we need to improve on, like he always does.
Yeah.
But I do not see a pat on Perry's back.
No.
I
And it's
don't
like,
see
because
you
he
know,
even says like that's an exceptional play to win us the game, but it's like 2 plays earlier he has Dallas like wide open for a touchdown,
Yeah.
and he misses him,
Yeah.
and then it's like, well, you go a couple plays back, drive before, when we're kind of stalling out, he misses somebody in the flats and tries to go a little downfield when he shouldn't, and it's like, bro, we could just keep the drive going. Like you don't have to score.
Yeah.
Like this could be a big play offense, but sometimes you got to just move the sticks.
Yeah, and
and give
Jaren's
yourself
good at
more
that.
tries.
Jaren's good at that, driving the ball,
Yeah.
throwing the plays that the passes that count, that get us the yards, that get us first downs. He moves the sticks.
It's like Jaren doesn't look past 15 yards, and then Kosi only looks past 15.
yeah, he
and
wants
it's
that
like,
game winning touchdown.
It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if any of those are necessarily the right answer because they're almost so opposite in the same aspect
Yeah,
of the.
and that was really my question. Does Jaren or Perry guarantee us the win? And it's like, you have to look at all the variables.
This week, I don't think it really matters as we get into it. This week, it doesn't matter at all in terms of.
I'm not going to put my money on Miami because
What's the
usually when
spread
they
now?
play against somebody that has a great spread and they're predicted to win
This
and they're
is not
predicted to do really
This
good,
is not a great spread.
well, they're predicted to be 30 points over.
Oh, that's what you mean. I thought you meant like in terms of system.
No, I'm talking
was
about them winning.
Oh, okay.
But it's like every time anyone says that, oh yeah, Miami's got this game in the bag, they just don't show up.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that terrifies me, is the normal Miami mindset. Oh, they're just an easy team. We're just gonna stomp them. And
Well, it's because all your eggs are in the same basket now. It's like you have no choice but to win. You cannot say this is an easy team because if you lose, your slim chance that you have right now is completely gone.
Yeah.
Then this season is really over.
yeah,
And it's like you're hanging on by the thread of your shoe, and it's like, what else can you possibly do as a team to make it? And it's like, well, you have to win every game.
yeah,
Because if Virginia loses one more game, it is like a 4-way tie for the Coastal.
yeah.
It's like, well, this team has beat this team. Miami's beat Virginia. Miami's been beat by this team. And it's like, then it's utter chaos. Then it's whoever wins the most games.
yeah.
And it's like, all you got to do is you got to keep playing. And you can't take anything for granted because the moment you take it for granted, it's gone completely.
And that's
And
the
then
thing
you're playing
too.
for 5 weeks for nothing.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is Georgia Tech has nothing to lose. They're 1-5, but they have everything to win.
But it's like they haven't played not even good competition. They've not played average competition, and they've lost to them.
Well, they played UNC. They scored 22 points on UNC, where Miami only scored 25. They played or was it Duke? What did they score against Duke? They just played Duke, right?
They played, I think it was like 41-23.
Yeah.
But
well,
they've lost.
The funny thing is which this is later on. I think Duke was the first game of the season for Georgia Tech where they scored a touchdown in the first quarter.
But it's also like, that's what offenses are. Like, the further you get down the line, the better you are supposed to be on offense.
Yeah.
And it's like that offense starts clicking. Well, they're also starting to run the ball a whole lot more, considering their linemen are predicated on running the football from the last regime. So,
and I mean they have a decent running back. Georgia
yeah,
Tech.
their running back average is like 5.5 yards a carry.
He's almost got this. His stats aren't as good as DJ's, but they're close. But
they also run the ball a lot in a game.
Their quarterback.
They don't run for, like, they run for a lot of yards per carry, but it's not like good. Like, their overall total yardage is not good as a team. We're getting way ahead, but we'll go back to the offense because we're jumping all around. That's
what I like to do. I like to jump around.
I guess just going back to the QB competition, I don't know if there is one. I want to say I'm full on Jaron because it looks really bad as a coach if you say, I made the bad judgment call, we're going to run with Kosi now. And it's like, well, if Kosi had played lights out like everybody was predicting against Virginia, then I would say, okay, he hits all those deep passes, he doesn't miss as many, then it's like, okay.
Yeah, if he continued that same stride.
Because I've even said I'll take more interceptions and worse play for more touchdowns.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Like, we didn't score more touchdowns.
No.
Against Virginia. Their defense was good.
Kosi didn't look the same.
But Bryce Hall was out for the whole second half. And we did not take advantage of their only good corner, not even good, their only average corner being out. Like, Bryce Hall is a first-round talent, but after that, there is nobody that is even average, really.
Yeah.
And it's like we were not taking advantage of that. We were trying to, but Kosi was not hitting it.
Yeah.
And so.
And it was like, I think we got our hopes up with Virginia Tech with him hitting like 400-something yards and like.
But it's still everybody like, oh, Kosi deserves this start. It's like Kosi doesn't deserve anything.
No.
Jaron doesn't necessarily deserve it either, but Jaron threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
If you look at in 5 games, he has 3 interceptions. If you tell me that before he even started the season, you're not telling me they were all in the same quarter, whatever. If you told me he had 5 games with 3 interceptions total, I would say, wow, that's actually not bad.
Yeah, and it's just bad that it's in the same.
Yeah, it's like, it's just Miami fans are just so reactionary to what they want. It's like I'm on the same boat in that sense where it's like this kind of hive mentality with the team and what they want. And I'm just trying to, like, I don't know, I guess enlighten people to what I've been thinking about on the week throughout the team. So
yeah, after watching Kosi play against Virginia, watching Virginia Tech, saying, man, and I said this in the podcast, man, Kosi looked good, and then watching Virginia, it's like, where'd he go?
Well, everybody's like, well, those last 2 drives were insane, but it's also look at what Miami did on defense in that game. Miami rotated 10 guys on their defensive line.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole game to chase down Bryce Perkins. And so by the fourth quarter, Bryce Perkins was trying to run tired, and Miami's guys were still just booking it. Yeah. They had no slowdown, nothing, no pullback. Yeah. And then look at what Virginia's defense was at the end of the game. Miami was able to run all over them. Yep. They were able to hand off to Dallas with their zone block scheme. They were able to throw back screens to Brevin, and he was able to take it. And it's like, this is the offense that not necessarily should even happen because they were just tired. They poorly managed their rotations, Virginia did, on defense. They showed that they are very top-heavy in terms of talent. Their depth was not good enough to rotate in to try to keep even Perry, as little as he was kind of scrambling, he was still scrambling behind the pocket. And it's like they still were really gassed at the end of that game. Yeah. And it showed when the fact that we couldn't run the ball the whole game, but in the last 2 drives, we ran the ball like we were Alabama. In a sense. And so
no, I don't agree with that.
Cutting to what this offense has to do this game, I don't think it really has to do a whole lot. In terms of more than what it did against Virginia. If we run okay against Virginia, it'll be all right, I would say. Because the play calls were terrible at times. But there were some. I mean, Kosi still missed a lot of his passes.
Yeah. It just seemed like
Dial that up again. And then,
at certain times where it was very important, like red zone, where we're making stupid calls.
well, yeah, that's just like I don't know, I guess a keynote for this team at this point.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, this is what this team's calling card is. We're going to choke in the red zone every time. But they did say that they want to stay within 80% of conversion rate on either, on field goals and touchdowns. They want, in the red zone, they want to score points at least 80% of the time in the red zone.
Yeah.
They scored 81%.
I think everyone does.
And it's like, well, they say, if you get within 80%, you're guaranteed to win the game.
What's their percentage now?
As a total, I don't know, but it's like
see.
we've missed 3 field goals in the red zone. We've gone like 3 and out 4 times, or 4 and out technically, like 4 times in the red zone. But Virginia game was the first time we were over 80% and we won. And our defense shut them out too in the red zone in that game. But as an offense, I don't know really what else we need to do. I think it's all going to rest on play calling again. I'm trying to get as angry about that as I normally do.
Holy cow. Miami's got 54 total penalties this year for 427 yards.
That doesn't surprise me.
I don't want to see penalties this game on Miami's offense. Like, it seemed like they got it under control last game. With 4 penalties, I think, last game for like 20-something yards.
Yeah. Only gave up like 3 sacks? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Because Miami had 5.
Yeah. So we hope to see, keep the penalties down,
Just shore up the offensive line because it looked like it had a pretty good week against Virginia. So I don't know what else you could really ask for a team that has to one-on-one it with Virginia. I would hope you would stop making Zion Nelson play one-on-one because that seems
Poor
like it's
guy.
the matchup of a lifetime for any
Poor
defensive
guy.
end. So I've said what Virginia does on defense, and they were able to completely dismantle that most of the game without causing too much problems in terms of back lost yardage. So Georgia Tech is not going to be that good on defense this game.
right.
But we'll get into that. But more on the offense, I would like for them to Perry to hit his big plays. Jeff Thomas get him the ball. DJ Dallas run the ball. Hit Brevin. It's like that's the key. That's gonna be your keys to every game.
I just
we
want to see
definitely did not do that well last week either.
I just want to see the O-line hit their blocks. Just, like Zion Nelson. That's what I really want to see this game is improvements in the O-line. If we're playing a team that we're expected to stomp, I just want to see the O-line do better.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing because you got Jaron, you got Perry. We've said this all year. You've got talent. You've got receivers.
Because
it's just the O-line.
Because if it wasn't for the defense against Virginia stopping them in the red zone a lot during the beginning part of the game,
Yeah.
that game could have potentially turned into another North Carolina Virginia Tech scenario.
Yeah.
Where our defense doesn't have it today and our offense is lackluster. And that's where we're at every week now. We got to rely on the defense to make their stops, and we got to rely on the offense to score at times.
But the defense looked good against Virginia. It was like, which we talked about that. It was like, we need that to come back this game. We need the same Miami defense to show up, which we'll get into that. But I really want to see the O-line, step up this game.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the thing that scares me is like I was saying before, is Georgia Tech has nothing to lose. They're 1-5 this season. Do they bring the heat?
They've lost big to Clemson, obviously, but they beat USF, who was awful.
But they scored on Clemson.
Bro, that was like a last.
You think
minute.
Miami scores on Clemson? Which Clemson is not as good this year as they were before, but
That was a garbage time touchdown.
well, no, I know, but
But they've lost to. They actually beat USF, who's not very good. They beat them 14-10. Then they lose to Citadel, who was a FCS team.
yeah,
Then they lose to Temple.
Yep.
Then they've lost to North Carolina.
Yep.
They've lost to Duke, and they've lost to someone else, and I forget.
but they put points on the board.
But it's like, bro, that's garbage time if you look at the box scores.
Well, no, I know, but last year Georgia Tech won. Miami played in Georgia, right? Last year, which Georgia Tech didn't win by much last year. But I could be wrong, but I think someone said that Miami came out first in Georgia.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember that game. I don't even remember that game, honestly.
I don't remember where I saw it, but I've read somewhere that Miami actually came out on the field first
Was that that? No, that was.
But Georgia Tech did win last year. They had a different coach, different schemes.
Miami's offense was terrible that game.
Yeah, well, Miami was
As they
terrible
are
last
this
year.
year.
But
It all boils down to the fact of what does Georgia Tech's defense bring to you? Because at the end of the day, their offense is not good whatsoever. They put up points. I understand what you're saying. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't think it amounts to much of anything. So what does Georgia Tech's defense bring? Because this defensive scheme has kind of been like changing your defensive scheme is not all that hard unless you're changing from like a typical NFL style like 3-4 to a 4-3 because that could be difficult. But like if you're still in the 4-3, you're just not blitzing as much or whatever, you're not bringing pressure from the corners. Like that's not that difficult.
yeah,
So at the end of the day, what does this defense like to predicate itself on? And I don't see anything of note. I've watched a couple of their games. It just seemed like they were very zone heavy, just trying to limit the plays that the offense did against them, so that way their offense had more chances to go out there and get used to this offense that they are running. I say they haven't been too bad, but they've also given up almost 422 yards, 21 and a half yards. So
average.
They average giving up 421 and a half yards per game, 240 of which are rushing yards. So, like
Average.
65% of the yardage they give up is just by running the football. Travis Etienne ran for like almost 200 yards, the running back for Clemson. Like he got a ball and ran like 99 yards, if I remember correctly, watching that game. And it's like that was all also Clemson in the first game of the season. So Duke also ran the ball all over them. North Carolina, I would assume, ran the ball all over them because that is their calling card.
Yeah.
And so they allow nearly 33 points a game. A lot of it, though, I think stems from what their offense does. Their offense is terrible and helps them out 0 degree Kelvin. They have very little sacks on the season. I says it looks like it could be a field day for Miami's offense. You can't argue with the fact they give up 420 yards a game.
And like I said before, the only thing that scares me is anytime Miami plays somebody that's lower or they're not expected to be as good, Miami doesn't show up.
True.
I don't.
But
that being said, Georgia Tech's record precedes them, 1-5, an average of 421 yards per game. That means you've got games where they're letting more.
They lost to an FCS team.
Yeah.
It's the thing. It's like, listen, they've hired this offensive coordinator from, I think it was Clemson, to come in. I forget where this offensive coordinator is from. That is their head coach now. And
Right.
it's like, everybody understands it doesn't matter what you do this season. I would have to say their AD, their board of directors, whatever, has to understand we are going complete opposite in terms of scheme. Like, this team was basically picked up out of the 40s and placed in the 2010s.
His name's Jeff Collins. He's from Temple. He was Temple's coach.
Oh, was he? I thought it was
And they
Clemson,
lost to
OC.
Temple.
They did lose to Temple.
And it was Temple's old coach.
Temple's a pretty good team, too. They're not that bad. But it's like, so with that being said, is the fact that you take this team from the 40s and drop them to now, is everybody understands this year is a gimme. Like, just, it's a freebie. Take your ticket, waste the year out, try to make sure these kids understand what they're doing on offense. That is it. You don't care about wins. You don't care about yards. None of that. So, therefore, it's like you said, well, they're 1-5. They're desperate. It's like, well, are they? Because I think at this point, if I was on that team, I would just say, bro, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Next year's the year. This has all got to work. So, I mean, it's going to come down to Miami's defense, who is very, very good against the run all season. And the only thing Georgia Tech really does is run the football well, which they've done for a long, 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 long time.
Which they're not going to do on Miami.
Yeah, they're not going to run this shotgun. So basically what Georgia Tech is going to do on offense is run almost the same exact offense as Virginia. It's not going to be as dynamic or anything close, I think, to what we've seen.
Yeah, but the quarterback is so bad.
Yeah, because Bryce Perkins is a completely different animal. And then you combo that with their offensive line is predicated on running the football every play, and they're not going to. I mean, this could be a field day for Miami's defense also, because Miami's defense is very good against the run. They can't pass that well. A lot of their receivers used to play running back last season because they ran a triple option. So now they're all at receiver. Their running back is playing very well, but
I'm just watching some of the highlights from the UNC GT game.
it's just it doesn't really wow me, anything that Georgia Tech does.
Their corners have they're not keeping up at all with UNC, and it's like maybe we see the Kosi Perry to Jeff Thomas this game. That would be nice. Like I said last game, I wanted to see.
Because in terms of Miami's offense versus Georgia Tech's defense, it just seems really cut and dry. I mean, they've done nothing against average defenses all season. We lost to North Carolina, but North Carolina had a very average defense. And they did little to nothing against them. They did little to nothing against the Citadel, for crying out loud, to Temple, to Duke. Like, Duke's defense is not that good either. And so it's like Miami's defense is fast, it's aggressive, gets in your face. The front seven is a bunch of animals right now, including Greg Rousseau. So I think that part is utterly cut and dry, and it all rests on the shoulders, I guess, of how the offense does with Kosi Perry. So
yeah, I mean, so what do you think? You think it's going to be a high-scoring game?
I think it should, yeah. But I mean, that's what I'm literally saying. It all relies on Perry. Does Perry hit his plays or not? Because if not, and he plays like Virginia, this could be a little squeaker again.
So you think it's if he doesn't show up, it's going to be defensive.
Because it's like, well, our defense played really, really good. For them to only allow 9 points is insane against Bryce Perkins. But it's like, we only scored 17.
Yeah.
We did not do that good on offense.
Yeah.
We scored the first drive of the game. So you take that drive out of the equation, we then only scored 10 points after the first drive of the game.
Yeah.
And we scored on the very last drive of the game. So,
I mean, Miami even had they beat Bethune, but it was
I
a
like
rough
what
start.
Miami does better with Perry. I just don't think Perry is good enough.
That's fair.
If you had predicated this offense exactly to him from the jump, he probably would be better than Perry. But at the end of the day, he just doesn't have some of the intangibles, which is you can't teach the fact that he has to look at a coverage and understand what the coverage is and figure out where to go with the ball and who would be open. It's like you can't teach. That is the only part of football as a quarterback that you cannot teach. Running ability you can't teach either, but you can teach them when to get out, and it's all the mental aspect of the game for quarterbacks. How does he deal with it? Does he understand who is open by just looking at what the defense is doing? And you look at Virginia, and it didn't really seem that way. It seemed that he was just trying to throw bombs down the field and show what he was made of. And so, but he's had all week to repair. The only thing I don't understand is why Jaron Williams has been throwing passes in practice, but yet he's not starting. Because I was under the impression that if he was throwing passes, then he was starting.
Good, yeah.
Because it was like Tuesday, I was sitting there and I was like, if Perry, I would really like Perry to start. And then came Wednesday and I started watching all the games. And I was like, I don't like Perry. And then it's like the moment I was like just talking about it, they were like, oh, by the way, Perry's starting. It's like, oh, well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
but even Manny Diaz in his press conference was like, right now, Perry gives us the best chance to win. He didn't say that Perry was the better quarterback, which is what I was trying to bring out earlier. Mm-hmm. He didn't necessarily say that Perry's the greater quarterback. He's looks good on paper. No, he just said that Perry gives us the chance to win. Now, are we going to see Jaron come in a little bit? I think they talked about that. There's a possibility. He said it just depends on game day.
Then that's what confuses me. It's like, if he's coming into play a little bit, then it's like, what's the deal? Yeah. Like, are you guys really going all out into a Perry offense?
Yeah.
Which would just mean I don't even know because, as I said, it's almost impossible to completely change your scheme throughout the middle of the season.
Yeah.
So therefore, what does this offense do that is different with Perry, and do they do it to the fullest extent? And it's like, then why? Because Perry certainly hasn't shown me a whole lot where I would say I'm part of the Kosi train and I don't want Jaren coming back. Because right now it's a little iffy. Like, I want Jaren to play. If Jaren's not 100%, fine, I'll ride with Perry, but he didn't show me a whole lot. Like, he's got guts. He's got all the mobility in the world to really make plays. And he has the awareness at times, especially on like that 4th and 7 on our first drive. He just realizes there's nobody open. Boom, I'm taking off. In the red zone, that last play was actually really good, even though a couple plays before he could have scored. Because it was just like, we're in the red zone. They can't score. You know, you can't throw the ball downfield. You got to hit your stuff and be accurate. You drop back, nobody's open. It looks like a draw, and you just take off. It's not a draw. It's a real pass play, but you hop back, nobody's open. Just get what you can and try to ball out and win. And he did. And it's like, well, credit, but what is the middle part of that offense? Is that play calling all the time, 100%? Or is that a 50-50, like I'm kind of thinking? Or is this 100% Jaren? Because I would venture to say all fans think this is 100% on Enos. It's like, well, I think it's more 50-50. As it was with Jaren, because I think they're not taking the shots downfield because Jaren doesn't have the ability to. Therefore, it limits the plays on that too. And there were some terrible play calls while he was at the helm anyway.
Yeah.
So his offense is 50-50 on every quarterback.
Yeah.
Tate can run. He can give you all the intangibles, but he doesn't have the arm. So therefore, your offense will be a little diluted into what they're going to do. And it's like everybody needs to realize that none of these quarterbacks are perfect. I really like what Jaren's done. I think he's been okay throughout the season. I think he's been decent. He's had some missed moments, and I think we're a little bit handicapped by how far he could throw it. And especially if he can't throw it far now that he's hurt, then ride with Perry and try to see what happens and hope that he gives you something like he did a little bit against Virginia Tech and Virginia. And just know that this offense of Georgia Tech is not going to score many points.
I'm game with that. So what do you call him?
As a score?
Score.
Bro, it feels like every time I give a score, it's like super high because they have the ability to every time. If you play, bro, if you boot up Madden, right, or boot up NCAA, and you get new rosters and everything, and you play with this team, bro, you would score like 56 points a game.
Oh, yeah, because you make good play calls.
And it's like, well, that's the point. It's like you have Jeff Thomas, you have KJ,
Yeah.
you have Mike Harley, you have Brevin Jordan, you have Will Mallory, you have DJ Dallas. You have a quarterback that can make a lot of throws no matter what, really.
Yeah.
Which one you pick. And it's like, well, how do you not score 60 plays with me? Like, I don't coach football. Like, it's like, well, why am I doing it? In a very arcadey sense, but it's like, bro, I'm utilizing their speed. Everybody knows what this team is supposed to do, and we're not doing it. Even when we kind of have it there, it's like, well, most of the time, it's been play calling. It's like, well, this past week, it was in the middle for quarterback and play calls. I'm going to venture to say it's in the 50s. I don't see how we don't score a lot of points.
You think so?
Yeah.
So what's your final score?
It doesn't matter. You're going to say it was wrong no matter what next time. But I would say like 56 maybe.
Wow. You think so?
13.
I'm going to give Miami like 24 points.
That is if the offense plays well, I would say that. But a realistic one, I would say probably 27, 13.
I'm between like
32, something. I don't know.
You know what? I'm going to go like 17. No.
I'm
going to go like 17-10. Miami.
I'm going to go 31-13. I think that's a realistic score.
I kind of want to say Georgia Tech wins.
Bro, I'm not doing this with you anymore. No way.
Listen, a part of me wants to say Georgia Tech wins.
Shut up. No, shut up.
Like,
you're not allowed to talk anymore.
I'm going to say Georgia Tech wins.
You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You clearly have not watched the same Georgia Tech team that I've watched. I
matter.
watched the Citadel game.
I'm not worried about Georgia Tech. I'm worried about Miami self-imploding.
You're ridiculous. You're an idiot. No, not a chance we lose this game.
I hope not, but
No way. Nope. Is it close? I would say that's
It's
a high
gonna be a close
probability
game.
it'll be close.
it's going to be a close game, and I'm going to give it to Georgia Tech. I
I'm
don't
going
know
to
what
stick
the
with
score's
my
going to be.
actual prediction is 31-13.
I'm going to say Georgia Tech wins by field goal.
You're an idiot. No way.
That's all I'm going
Wow.
to say.
What have
I
you
know
seen from Georgia Tech to make you think it would win?
Nothing. But I've seen Miami, and I know how terrible they do when they underestimate the other team.
There's no way Manny lets them underestimate this team. The only team we've lost to that we've underestimated has been Virginia Tech. North Carolina was on our level.
No. North Carolina was the better team,
No, they weren't.
clearly.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
No, they're not. Because we're ahead of them right now. No, they're not.
Okay. Okay.
They played good against Clemson, and they beat us. Clemson has this ability like Miami used to where they play to the level of their competition. They play whoever they're playing, they know how to somehow play on that level. They know how to drop down and play terrible against the terrible teams and jump up and play good against the good teams. Miami doesn't have that ability this year. They just like to stay down low.
I'm just pulling a wild card.
I don't believe you.
I'm just pulling a wild card that
I-
Georgia Tech wins.
I think you're
I'm
stupid.
pulling a wild card.
I think you're stupid.
It don't matter to me.
This all relies on play calls and QB. I think the offensive line, their troubles get sprinkled in here and there, but at the end of the day, this relies on play calling and this relies on QB.
And
Those are
if
QB.
Miami shows up or not.
Well, that would be the essence of it, yes. Because their defense
That's
is
what
going to be
I'm
good no matter what. I don't think there's a reality in which
Unless Manny gives it back to Blake and is like,
why would he do that?
I don't know. Honestly, this
Make up-
season, I don't know. I'm
Make up
expecting the
weirdest
worst.
stuff in your head, man. I swear.
Watch, Georgia Tech wins, and we come back on Monday, and Tyler apologizes on this
I
podcast.
knew
to
I
me.
will never apologize to you. No way. Because if we lose, it'll be because you said it.
Oh my gosh, that's a lie.
There's no way we lose to this team.
Okay, so
If you're talking about the guys that make Las Vegas betting or saying this is 30 points.
yeah,
Difference.
I know, I get that. I'm just gonna be different. It's okay to be different, Tyler.
The spread for Virginia Tech was only 14.
It's okay to be different.
No,
Yeah, it's okay.
not in this sense.
It's okay to be different.
Because
fellas.
you are way, way out there.
I'm gonna wore my Gator shorts again tonight.
You're in freaking the moon. Whatever.
Tyler's still upset because I beat him in fantasy football, but
I'm not upset at that at all. My team played terrible. I hate fantasy football.
I do too. Do you have any other news?
I'm trying to see if there's anything else about Miami that I want to talk about. We got a couple kids coming in for recruiting visits,
Yeah, that's what
so that's nice. 21 kid decommitted from, or I think it's a 2020 kid decommitted from Florida State. Jaden Francois, who is a corner, I think he's a 4-star. He's been on Miami's radar for a long, long time. He's had very high interest in Miami, and I don't know if he's visiting or what the deal is, but there's a 5-star kid that's visiting. There's a lot of recruits supposed to be there, as it is one of our last home games. Our last one will be Louisville towards the end of the season. In terms of what's going around in college football, I don't think many people are playing anybody. I think last week was kind of like the week. I
do want
Georgia.
to watch which we talked about Monday, the Michigan Penn State game.
Oh yeah, that seems that's probably the game of the week. Because Alabama's playing Tennessee, who's terrible. LSU. I think they may have a bye.
Miami's ranked 17 for 2020 commits.
Yeah, it's very early though.
No, I know, but 4-star running back from Miami.
Don Chaney Jr.
Yeah.
So-
4-star offensive tackle.
Who else plays this season or this week?
Jalen Rivers.
Yeah, Jalen Rivers is supposed to be really good.
4-star wide receiver.
Tyler Van Dyke, is he right there?
Yeah.
Quarterback. Your TVD. He's supposed to be really good.
It says pro.
He's a pro style quarterback.
Oh, okay.
Pocket passer.
Yeah.
So
Don't
I
listen
think
to me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I think
Four-star
I think
defensive
LSU. No, Georgia played Kentucky. I would say that should be an easy game for them, but they lost to South Carolina, so that should be an interesting game.
Yeah.
The only two games I'm really
But
interested
Jake Fromm had a bad game.
Yeah, Jake
against
Fromm
South
played
Carolina.
terrible. Their play caller, James Coley, who I've kind of praised a little bit on here, he has not been good for them this season. He's not been good for Jake Fromm or DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift should be a first-round pick, so should Jake Fromm. And they're both playing like they shouldn't even be drafted right now because of how bad this offense looks.
Florida's playing South Carolina, so
Yeah, that's a little bit of a rivalry. The only two games I really care about this week are Miami, who plays at noon, and the other team, who I kind of know people who are on, is also at noon. So
Alabama plays Tennessee, but that's going to be
yeah,
brutal for Tennessee.
Tennessee is absolutely terrible. I mean, in terms of everything else for Miami, I guess I'm just going to keep saying it's all predicated on the play calling and QB. I don't know what else to say. If we come back in here next week and we have lost, this will be a long one.
It's going to start with an apology from Tyler
I'm
for
not
calling
going
me
to apologize
stupid.
to you. No, you gave us the bad juju. No way.
There's no such thing as bad juju.
Yeah, it's you.
No.
You are the essence. You are the symbolic nature of juju.
I don't think that Georgia Tech is going to win.
Then why'd you say? I think they're going to win.
As long as Miami, which you showed me two scores, you said you had a 50-something, and then you had a. There's two opinions I have. If Miami shows up, if Miami's defense shows up, and if nothing bad happens, Kosi does good, yeah, they might win. But it's not going to be a high-scoring game. If Miami wins, it's not going to be a high-scoring game. They just can't score. I wish I had the red zone percentage this year.
It can't be very, very good at all. It's got to be terrible. Can't be much worse than the kicking percentage.
If Miami does the defense the same way, yeah, that's great. They're going to need it. But
it's also Miami historically. I forgot to put that. Miami's defense historically plays really well against offenses that kind of run like this, where it's a option quarterback. He cannot throw that well, like we seen last week against Virginia. Bryce Perkins cannot throw very well. He was more accurate than Georgia Tech's quarterback is going to be.
yeah.
But he
Well, yeah, I
can't
think-
throw down
what's
the
his
field.
name?
Callahan?
He's like
Calhoun?
40, maybe he's 40%.
Yeah, he's terrible. He's doing terrible. He's half the reason they have the problems that they do. They have Isaiah Oliver, who has second on their team in rush yards. I'm trying to think.
He's like
But
49.
Miami plays historically well, as Andrew looks for some stats, against offenses that run like this, that are just spread. Quarterback can't throw well. They're going to play fast,
name's
attacking,
Graham.
and force turnovers. What is his name?
Graham,
Thomas Graham?
James Graham.
James? Well, what the? I have no idea. Who they have?
41 complete out of 91 for 569 yards this year.
Who's ahead of him? Nobody?
He's the head. He's leading. They only have 800 yards of passing.
Thomas Oliver is like their second leading rusher.
Tobias Oliver.
Tobias.
No, he's their quarterback.
I know, but he's their second leading rusher.
Oh, well, yeah, but look at his passing. 11
Yeah.
for 26, 177.
So they're playing a little bit of quarterback roulette, too.
No touchdowns.
They're playing quarterback roulette with a scheme that does not fit this school whatsoever. So Miami plays well historically against teams that play like this. So I don't think they'll score at all. If they do, it'll be very little. It'll be the key to this game is field possession or field position where you start and play calling at QBs. I mean, I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, we'll see if Jordan Mason can run the ball in Miami. Doubt it. But
Yeah, I doubt it. I mean, if LaMichael Pirine couldn't run against Miami, I doubt much of anybody can. I mean, I haven't seen anybody really just destroy Miami in the run game this season. I mean, if you think back,
Perine didn't do bad. Like, he had one great run against
But he
Miami,
only
I
ran for
think.
like 50 yards.
But Perine is not.
As good as people say.
Yeah, like I'll be the first to admit it. He's not the fastest for sure. But I don't know. We'll see. Georgia Tech's running back, like I said, has close stats to DJ. So, but if you put DJ against Miami's defense, I don't see DJ doing good either.
True.
But,
Miami's defense is just really fast at getting to the ball.
especially with Russo.
Yeah, Gregory Rousseau was a beast. So, if you enjoy this like later than what we normally do it,
Yeah, and Tyler called me an idiot.
you deserve that one.
I'm filing.
Don't watch back and act
I'm
like
filing.
you don't deserve it. Watch back and tell me you don't deserve
I'm filing for charges.
it. Watch the game Saturday, then watch this and tell me you don't deserve it.
I think it'll be a close game.
Just let me know if you like what we're doing and having this at night, because it's a bit of a different vibe than what we do it during the day.
Yeah, Tyler's not as he's a little more cranky, but
Tonight, bro,
Yeah.
you're off the rails. You're off the rails. Anyway,
if you see Tyler in public, just say something bad about Miami, and you'll see it.
bro, you're off the rails. You have no clue what you're talking about. If
Just
you
trying to get
enjoyed the
him stirred
video, if you think Andrew's even remotely funny, dislike the video. I don't care.
Yeah,
But let me know if you
you're
like
gonna get a
watching
bunch of
this.
dislikes.
Whatever, dude. Let me know if you like watching this at night. If you like watching the stream. I actually really like doing these live. Takes all the pressure off of us of having to record it, and my internet is terrible.
Yeah,
I go home and put it on my editor and take it down and upload it. It takes a long time for me. Even Andrew has like really good internet. It kind of takes a bit for him. So
yeah, it's like a 2-hour process upload
yeah.
and
So
export. But let us know what you guys think. Put it in the comments below what you think of the score, what you think how the game's going to go, what you think of Perry. You know, anything we discussed, you can call us out on it. Just don't private message us because we will not respond to you.
DM Andrew about how somebody.
Yeah. DM me about how Miami's going to kill Georgia Tech, and I'm just going to send you laughing emojis.
Whatever. All right. If you enjoyed the video, as he said, leave a like. At the end of the day, it's always go Canes.